welcome to Match Pack, your weekly statistical guide ahead of a full weekend of Premier League action. 30 games have been played, with Manchester United the only team who are still protecting a 100% winning record. In total, 73 goals have been scored so far this season, although Brighton and Hove Albion and Crystal Palace are yet to contribute to that tally. Of those goals, 3 have been scored directly from the penalty spot, with 2 of those 3 converted by Southampton. And we've seen 9 red cards handed out so far, with Chelsea and Manchester City each seeing 2 of their players sent from the field.
It's been a good start for both Manchester City and Liverpool. The pair go into this clash unbeaten, each with 2 wins and a draw. Both have been very active in the transfer market, City by far the bigger spenders, bringing in £223 million worth of talent. Liverpool weren't quiet either, adding 4 first-teamers, as well as agreeing a deal for highly rated RB Leipzig midfielder Naby Keita, who will join next season. The joint largest domestic transfer on deadline day was struck by Liverpool when they captured the signature of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain from Arsenal for £35 million. The England international sees his future as a central midfielder, though he started Arsenal's opening 3 league games at wing-back before making the move to Merseyside, and has completed more dribbles than any other player in the division with 17. One concern for Liverpool fans, though, might be his durability. Oxlade-Chamberlain made 132 Premier League appearances in just over 6 seasons at Arsenal, but never started more than 17 Premier League matches in a single campaign.
What Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain will bring to Liverpool, very similar to what he gave to Arsenal, is energy. Commitment, determination, energy. And we know that Jurgen Klopp likes players like that. If you look at the 3 midfield players he played against Arsenal, Oxlade-Chamberlain is one of those. Strong running, box to box, lots of energy. He can also play one of the front 3 positions in a wide position.
City also have choice across the front line with competition for the central striking role. Pep Guardiola started both Gabriel Jesus and Sergio Aguero in the first 2 Premier League fixtures, but then reverted to 3 forwards, with only 1 through the middle for the 2-1 victory at Bournemouth. Jesus was picked ahead of Aguero and repaid his manager by scoring. The Brazilian international has now been directly involved in 12 goals in his 11 Premier League starts. Ousting Aguero as City's main man won't be easy, though. The Argentine has 123 Premier League goals to his name, just 1 away from becoming the highest scoring non-European player in Premier League history, ahead of Dwight Yorke and Didier Drogba.
He's a big game player, and I think a game against Liverpool, I think that it's imperative for him to play, because if they get the ball wide, get the crosses in, get the through balls, I think that he's got more experience, he's got more quality in the box than Jesus. Jesus is a great player, but he's one for the future. He's young.
Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp have plenty of firepower of their own. Even with Philippe Coutinho sidelined and the subject of a long-term transfer saga, the Reds have shown plenty of attacking flair already, notably in their 4-0 demolition of Arsenal last time out. Sadio Mane has flown off the block, scoring in Liverpool's opening 3 league games. Since his arrival at the club, he's had a huge impact. Klopp's side averaged 2.3 goals and 2.2 points per game when Mane starts in the Premier League, much better than their record in the matches he's missed. But Mane's not the only star of the show at Anfield. Roberto Firmino and new boy Mohamed Salah have also started the season strongly. In the first 3 games, the trio have racked up 7 goals and 3 assists between them.
Sadio Mane, Salah and Firmino are very key to Jurgen Klopp because of the way he wants them to play. Particularly Mane and Salah, who are very quick, very direct, and when Liverpool get the ball, they break forward very quickly, and those two give them that. With Firmino, he'll load the bullets, of course. There's obviously Emre Can, Jordan Henderson and Ronaldo, and we saw the game against Arsenal where they completely steamrolled them. So he likes a high-energy team, and the midfield players have got lots of energy, lots of strength, lots of intensity, and with Mane and Salah, I think that on the counter-attack they'll be very dangerous.
In this fixture, Liverpool have had the lion's share of success recently. They haven't lost in their last 5 league games against Manchester City. But either side of the summer break, Guardiola's men have gone 11 top-flight games without losing for the first time in 2 years.
I think there'll be lots of chances in it. What I always say is you can't legislate for goals because if the goalkeeper has a fantastic, game, you can have 25 shots, 30 shots on target and not score. But what I do know, there'll be lots of chances for both teams in it. But with the quality that both teams have, I will go for a 2-2 draw.
Whilst Manchester United's perfect start continues, Stokes has been a mixed bag. Peter Crouch's 51st Premier League headed goal salvaged a point at West Brom last time out. That was only the second goal they've scored in the league this season. Manchester United's tally of 10, complemented by a defence which has yet to be breached, giving United maximum points. The home side will be wary of an informed Henrik Mkhitaryan. There was just one Premier League assist for the Armenian throughout last season, but 5 already this time around, and that matches the record for the first 3 games of a Premier League campaign.
I think he's a very clever player. You know, he's shown this year already with his assists in the first couple of games. You know, he sees passes that our players don't see. You know, he's a quality player. I mean, and he probably add a few more goals to his game this season as well, not only assists.
As a manager, Mark Hughes has only won 4 times in the 21 meetings with his former side. However, 2 of those victories have been in his time in charge of Stoke. The Welshman's unbeaten in his last 3 meetings with Jose Mourinho. Could he add another to the tally? Hughes' first win in this specific fixture came back in February 2014. Michael Carrick's deflection gave Stoke a lead that was cancelled out by Robin van Persie. But Charlie Adam restored Stoke's advantage with a spectacular 25-yard strike to earn the Potters their first league win over United in nearly 30 years.
Arsenal's transfer window had everything. Off to a good start with the record signing of Alexandre Lacazette. But losing Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain to rivals Liverpool was an unforeseen blow. While after incessant speculation that Alexis Sanchez would leave with his contract running down, he remained a gunner. Bournemouth moved quickly to complete their summer business. Nathan Ake signed for a club record fee following his successful loan spell last season. And the acquisitions of Premier League veterans Jermaine Defoe and Asmir Begovic also bolstered Eddie Howe's squad. Ever present so far this season, Danny Welbeck has been pleased to get a run in the Arsenal team, having suffered with injuries since his 2014 move from Manchester United, featuring in just 48% of the Gunners' matches. That's left him a long way behind the scoring figures some rival strikers have racked up in the spell since his Premier League debut.
It's getting to that stage where it is now or never for him to do the business and show some of that potential and prove that he is a great player and he can score goals in the Premier League.
At the other end of Arsenal's lineup, a reshaped defence featured strongly in their improvement towards the end of last season. In their final 8 league games, Arsene Wenger's switch to 3 central defenders paid dividends. The Gunners won 7 and lost only once, conceding just 5 goals in those matches and convincing Wenger to carry the same formation into this season. The outcome, though, has been very different. After losing 2 of the opening 3 games, the Gunners are down in 16th. That could bring a rethink against Bournemouth to shore up a side that's been conceding an average of more than 2.5 goals per game. One key battle is likely to come in midfield. Granit Xhaka and Harry Arter have both featured in every match for their clubs so far this term and accumulated some impressive statistics. Xhaka has played a central role for the Gunners in every sense, making more passes than any other Premier League player in that time.
Granit Xhaka is a good technician of the ball. He rotates the ball well. A lot of Arsenal's moves go through him, and that's why he has got the most pass completion in the team. I feel he's a good athlete. I didn't realise how good an athlete he was before he came to the Premier League, but he can get around the pitch.
Even if Bournemouth strike first, there's no need for Arsenal to panic. Eddie Howe's side has a recurring problem, dropping points from winning positions. Only West Ham have surrendered more points in that situation since the Cherries made their Premier League debut 2 seasons ago.
I think it's a big concern for Eddie Howe. For me, I think it's easy to say, it's quite simple, but Eddie Howe loves playing out from the back, and I feel that once you've gone into the leads, you might have to slightly adjust the way that you play to try and stop losing the ball in your own final third.
One of the most vivid illustrations of Bournemouth's tendency to let points slip came at home to Arsenal last season. Goals from Charlie Daniels, Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser gave them a seemingly commanding 3-0 lead. But that all changed in the final 20 minutes, Sanchez sparking a fight back that Lucas Perez continued, before Olivier Giroud snatched a draw right at the end. Bournemouth's main goal-scoring threat comes from Joshua King, whose shot conversion rate in 2017 is ahead of Dele Alli and Romelu Lukaku. Fresh from scoring for his country, the Norwegian will be keen to get off the mark in this Premier League campaign.
He's got everything, you know. He's got goals in him. He's brave. He's a fantastic athlete. You know, he's got raw ingredients, pace, power.
Just 2 places apart towards the bottom, the stakes will be high at the Emirates. The Cherries are desperate to put their first point on the board, while Arsenal haven't lost 3 league games in a row for more than 5 years.
Bournemouth have got to stop the rot, you know. They've started poorly, but in general I can't see Arsenal, after what's gone on in the transfer window, losing at home, and I'm going to go for a home winner. I'm going to go for a 2-1.
Since his arrival at Everton at the start of the 2016-17 season, Idrissa Gueye has certainly made an impact. The Senegalese midfielder's made 147 tackles in that time, more than any other player over the same period, including Chelsea's N'Golo Kante, who's been highly praised for his tackling success. However, neither Gueye nor his Everton teammates were able to stop Chelsea in their tracks last time out, as they suffered their first defeat of the season. They returned to Goodison Park this weekend for only their second home game of the new campaign, but their form on their own turf is impressive. Ronald Koeman's side have won 11 of the last 12 they played at Goodison in all competitions. The last time they faced Tottenham Hotspur, Dele Alli scored the winner, a man who's become a lucky omen for Spurs. The North Londoners are unbeaten in 26 Premier League games when he's found the back of the net. His latest goal resulted in the 21-year-old becoming the youngest player to score 30 goals for Tottenham in the competition. They failed to win their first 2 home games of the season at their temporary Wembley home, but Tottenham's away form is impressive. Mauricio Pochettino's men have suffered just 1 defeat in their last 7 Premier League games on the road. But with just 1 win in their last 10 top-flight visits to Goodison Park, Spurs could find the Toffees a tough nut to crack.
The fixtures get no easier for Craig Shakespeare's Leicester City. Beaten 2-0 by the league leaders last time out, the Foxes now face champions Chelsea. Antonio Conte's players have rallied since their shock opening defeat. Impressive 2-0 winners over Everton before the international break. The Blues' deadline day signing Danny Drinkwater could feature against his former side. Fellow newman Alvaro Morata has quickly settled into life in West London, providing 2 goals and 2 assists in the opening 3 games. The Spaniard already proving his worth and looking a worthy replacement for the absent Diego Costa. Leicester have a bad habit they'll want to break. Half the goals they've conceded so far have come in the final 10 minutes. The Foxes lost twice to Conte's men in the league last season and won't need to be told it's essential to stay fully focused for the entire match against a side of Chelsea's calibre.
When they won the league a couple of seasons ago, one of their best attributes was defending as well. You know, they used to win games 1 or 2-0 and keep it really tight, and they need to get back that way. You know, keep the back door shut, because they'll always create chances. They've got great players going forward, and you know, I think they just need to readdress the balance of you know, the defending a bit more.
Back in February 2001, one of Leicester's 4 Premier League wins over Chelsea served up some thrilling entertainment. Muzzy Izzet's opening goal was cancelled out by Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, only for Gary Rowett to delight the home fans at the old Filbert Street Stadium, netting the winner just seconds later.
Our match-pack question this week is all about the USA's influence on the Premier League. We're asking which American player has scored the most goals in the competition's history. Keep watching, we'll reveal the answer later in the show. Week 3 saw missed opportunities for Southampton and Watford. Both failed to beat newly promoted opposition, with Miguel Brito's red card leaving him suspended for the Hornets' trip to St Mary's this weekend. In his absence, Watford face a side whose problems in front of goal are well documented. A poor shot conversion rate integral to Southampton failing to score in all but 3 of their last 11 Premier League games. The room for improvement is stark.
The figures definitely need to improve for shot conversion rate, yes. They weren't able to call on Charlie Austin. They weren't able to call on Jay Rodriguez for a lot of that season with his injuries as well. So when you're relying on one person to score the goals, it maybe becomes a little bit too much. So they need to spread the goals around. As I said, get the wingers scoring goals, midfielders scoring goals. I think a lot of managers in football will say they'd rather be creating chances and missing them than not be creating chances at all.
Southampton may be struggling in front of goal, but defensively it's a different story. Fraser Forster's steady hands have been safeguarding the Saints' net since the start of the 2014-15 campaign. And he boasts 12 saves already in the opening 3 games, the 4th highest in the Premier League, conceding only 2 goals in the process. That's a solidity that's brought him 35 top-flight clean sheets.
I think Fraser Forster's a good goalkeeper just because, first and foremost, he's a good shot stopper. I believe a lot of goalkeepers nowadays believe they have to save everything with their hands and they need to be sort of perfect saves. When I watch him, he seems a keeper that uses any part of his body to make saves, which I like because it ultimately stops the ball going into the net. But also, as we spoke about, Southampton are a team that like to set up solid. He's the keeper that plays for them. He's the one that is the main organiser from back there, and he's able to keep the team around him to limit the chances that he has to save.
Watford, on the other hand, have struggled defensively. The Hornets have conceded 7 goals from errors since the start of 2017, a tally only eclipsed by Crystal Palace. Whilst only Sunderland and Arsenal have faced more shots on target since the turn of the year. Marco Silva will hope his arrival brings an end to Watford's reliance on their home form and inspire an improvement in last season's disappointing away record. Last month's victory at Bournemouth is the only time they've avoided defeat on the road since February. Watford summer signing Richarlison has hit the ground running, his goal at Bournemouth making him the 6th Watford player to score in his first Premier League start for the club, joining the likes of Tommy Smith and Heider Helguson. The Brazilian already boasts 11 shots to his name, 1 every 19 minutes.
Richarlison looks a good signing so far. He's an exciting under-20 Brazil international. Obviously, anytime you see a Brazilian in the league, you know they're going to have flair, they're going to have skills. But it'll be interesting to see how he works with Marco's hard-working regime.
The last 2 meetings at St Mary's have been drawn. A line of form? Well, not necessarily. This is the 5th successive match between the sides here, in which they both had different managers to the previous encounter. So could Mauricio Pellegrino and Marco Silva be the key ingredient to spicing up this game?
I believe the game between Watford and Southampton will be a pretty similar result to last time. I hate to be boring, but I believe it could be a ball draw and be 0-0 based on statistics we've already seen and spoken about. I think both teams will set up solid knowing that the other won't want to be too expansive, and then I think a 0-0 draw is probably going to be the result.
West Ham United are a side under pressure. No points at all so far, and a tally of goals conceded that's in double figures. The Hammers let in at least 3 in each of their league matches in August, something they've suffered 18 times in the Premier League since Slaven Bilic took charge. He admits he's worried by the team's form, and it's easy to see why. The last time the Hammers lost their opening 3 Premier League matches was back in 2010 when they went on to finish bottom. If they're hoping their first home game of the campaign will change the mood, the omens aren't good. West Ham have only won just over a third of their league fixtures at the London Stadium since moving there at the start of last season. All quite a contrast to the buoyant atmosphere surrounding Huddersfield Town. Their flying start owes a lot to sheer hard work. So far they've been involved in more tackles than any other team, only Liverpool winning more than the Terriers 46. And they're one of just 2 clubs yet to concede. The other is Manchester United. So the form guide reads better than any Huddersfield fan dared to dream. 7 points from a possible 9 so far, a near perfect start to Premier League life. That includes 1 away win already for a team which previously had won 41% of its matches on the road since head coach David Wagner took charge for the first time.
Brighton and Hove Albion are off the mark. A stalemate against 10-man Watford last time out awarded Chris Hughton's side their first ever Premier League point. But while the wait for their first goal continues, keeper Matt Ryan leads the way in relation to the number of catches he's made. 6 in total. No other top-flight keeper has registered more so far this term. However, the Australian could now face competition for a place in the starting lineup with the arrival of Tim Krul from Newcastle United on a season-long loan. Despite Ryan keeping a clean sheet last time out, he's so far conceded 4 goals, with 3 of those coming during the second half. and having failed to bolster their attacking options, Brighton's focus must be to limit the amount they ship in. This weekend, they host a side who know all about defending a marginal lead. Since Tony Pulis took charge at West Bromwich Albion, the Baggies have won 15 Premier League games by a 1-0 scoreline, the most in the competition during that time. But since the start of this season, their number of shots on target has dwindled. In their last 2 games combined, they've registered 3, exactly half the number they recorded in the first game. Their goal tally of 3 in 3 games still constitutes their best at this point of a Premier League season for 5 years, with their trademark aerial ability again coming to the fore. 2 of their 3 goals have come that way, a tally only exceeded up to this point by Leicester City. And if West Brom can win, it'll be their best league start to a top-flight season for 39 years.
Swansea City seem to be adapting to life without Gylfi Sigurdsson. They showed no sign of struggling against Crystal Palace last time out, a comfortable 2-0 win for Paul Clement's men. Newcastle United will hope to pick up where they left off before the international break. A handsome 3-0 victory over West Ham United gave them their first points since promotion back to the top flight. Wilfred Boney returned on transfer deadline day for his second spell at the Liberty Stadium. In his previous 18 months with the Swans, the side won just twice when he didn't feature. Along with fellow new signing Renato Sanchez, the striker will hope to be equally influential this time. One of the men who's made a real difference to Newcastle is Matt Ritchie since signing from Bournemouth back in July 2016. The winger's covered more ground than any of his teammates this season, and only Christian Atsu has registered more sprints than Ritchie's 160.
I was surprised he first went out of the Championship when they were down seasons ago, because he was one of Bournemouth's better players, I felt, and it was a great signing for Newcastle, and I think he shows this year, even in the first couple of games. You know, he's the sort of spark that they have with you know, his fantastic delivery and set plays, and as you say, man of the match performance against West Ham last week.
The Swans have lost just twice to Newcastle in the Premier League, with one of their best performances back in December 2013. Nathan Dyer and an own goal from Mathieu Debuchy put the Magpies in serious trouble before Jonjo Shelvey scored himself against the team he now plays for. A comprehensive 3-0 Swansea success.
Earlier in the programme, we asked you which American player has scored the most goals in the Premier League. The answer? Former Fulham and Tottenham forward Clint Dempsey, who scored 57 during his time at the 2 London clubs between 2007 and 2014.
With just 1 win in their last 7 Premier League games at Turf Moor, Burnley manager Sean Dyche will urge his side to get back to the form they showed at the start of last season, when they won 64% of their opening 11 home fixtures. New signing Chris Wood could help improve things. With a debut goal for the Clarets last time out, he's scored in over half his league appearances since the start of last season. That late strike against Tottenham Hotspur was the only second-half goal Burnley have scored to this point. That means in the opening 3 games, 75% of their goals came in the first half. Only Everton and Bournemouth have bettered that ratio in the Premier League so far. Dyche's side have cause for confidence against this weekend's opponents. They did the double over them last season. Crystal Palace have started the new campaign where they left off in May. It's now 7 losses in the last 8 Premier League matches, without a goal in any of those defeats. Frank de Boer's men certainly need Christian Benteke to regain the scoring touch that served him well, especially away from home. The Palace target man's found the net 5 times on his travels in 2017, the joint 4th highest tally. The signing of Liverpool defender Mamadou Sakho should help turn things around. He played a key role in the Eagles' survival last season and is much needed. Only Arsenal and West Ham United have conceded more goals so far this campaign. With pressure building on de Boer, Palace badly want to head home from Turf Moor with something to show for their efforts.
A frantic transfer window in the Premier League closed last week after 133 new signings. Promoted side Huddersfield Town set out their intentions to stay in the top flight with 13 new acquisitions to bolster their squad, one ahead of both Everton and Watford. Romelu Lukaku was the most costly signing, swapping Goodison Park for Old Trafford. Champions Chelsea agreed a £58 million deal with Real Madrid for Alvaro Morata, while Manchester City boosted their title chances by signing Monaco's Benjamin Mendy. Those deals amongst the moves which took the combined spending of Premier League clubs to £1.4 billion, a rise of 19% on last summer.
A tasty fixture kicks things off this week between Manchester City and Liverpool, one of 7 games on Saturday, including the last 2 champions head-to-head as Chelsea travel to Leicester. Sunday sees Burnley face Crystal Palace and Swansea host Newcastle, while Huddersfield go to West Ham on Monday. It's Manchester United setting the pace, Liverpool's Sadio Mane and United's Romelu Lukaku leading the scoring. The Premier League is back after the international break and promises to be electrifying. From Jim Proudfoot and me, Dave Beckett, goodbye.